Grace Harris is an expert and thought leader in transformation. She's helped over 5,000 small businesses to determine where they are now and where they want to be. Through her work, Grace has uncovered the truth behind the original core beliefs which drive people's decisions to shape the person they are today. For the last 20 years, she has walked the talk and immersed herself in her own transformation, from corporate Philippines to corporate Australia, to global entrepreneur, to international speaker in the field of personal development. Grace lives in the Gold Coast, and her spiritual practice consists of going to the beach, meditation, yoga, and studying the philosophy of the Tao Te Ching. Please welcome Grace Harris.
Thank you, Chris. When my kids were 8 and 5 years old, we were having dinner one time, and they asked me, "Will we please have ice cream for dessert, Mom? Who loves ice cream?" They knew we had some raspberry and white chocolate ice cream in the freezer. So I served it up. As we gobbled the dessert, my 8-year-old said to me, "So yummy, can we please have this again tomorrow night?" So I put my spoon down and I looked at them both and lovingly said, "You know, back in my days when I was a kid in the Philippines, I could never have any ice cream. If I was lucky, I could only have ice cream once, every year on my birthday." Then my 5-year-old son put his own spoon down and said, "Oh, but now you eat it every day. Wow." He looked at me with his eyes wide open and said, "Mom, you have a birthday every day. You must be really, really old." My name is Grace Harris. My journey had pushed me to an edge where I uncovered the truth behind my original paradigms of self-love. Fear-based belief systems that have spiraled my life downwards, and I've absorbed these beliefs from people who have impacted my life in ways that are more damaging than nurturing. Beliefs like money is the root of all evil, or don't indulge in too much happiness because if you do, tragedy will follow, or why bother trying to change when history only ever repeats itself. Anyone here familiar with these fear-based self-limiting beliefs? Yep. So these self-limiting beliefs are not just mine, but many other people's original paradigms of self-love. So I will share with you how I turned these old paradigms of self-love into fearless beliefs that really spiraled my life upwards through a practice of unyielding belief with no fear, bold decisions, and evolving purpose. Now our families, grandparents, uncles, aunties, relatives, adoptive parents, the people that raised us, they are the legends of our personal beliefs. They give us protection. They show us the way of life. They educate our minds and they nurture our spirits. Their way become our way. Their beliefs become our beliefs. But let me ask you, what happens when the people that are supposed to love and protect you inadvertently and unintentionally expose you to the perils of abuse? My own mother, growing up in a patriarchal Filipino-Chinese family, developed a debilitating self-limiting belief that really led on to a strong suggestion that females played a second-class citizen role in the family, as opposed to the alpha male status. I vividly remember the day when my mother took me to my grandmother's house for what she called a visit. But as soon as we arrived, she left and she promised to come back. And I did wait all day outside my grandmother's house. But when the sun began to set and darkness fell, I realized she was never coming back for me. My grandmother not knowing any better really how to treat an abandoned female second-class citizen grandchild. The very next day, she showed me and trained me to fetch water from the metal pump, to wash clothes using my bare hands, hours of hard manual labor. I was so young and grieving for the loss of my mother and my real home. Confused, scared. Then I heard my grandmother's high-pitched voice yelling down to me, "It is hard, isn't it? You get on with it now and you hurry up." Words that stabbed me in my chest as I sat on my small step and just tried to do the best work I could. But then suddenly, I floated up and away. I felt so odd. So I had to turn and look back, and there I saw myself. A small child with her head down, heart convulsing with sorrow, just ferociously holding back tears. That was the moment at 5 years old when I had my first out-of-body experience. Have you ever had a moment in your life when the pain was so great, it was unbearable? According to Agape Foundation, in 2018, in Asia alone, there are 60 million abandoned and vulnerable children. These children's fates are largely because of extreme poverty, where their parents simply have no means or mental capacity to feed their own mouths, let alone the mouths of others, including children that they sired. But having said all of that, there is a fraction of abandoned and vulnerable children who have been disposed of by their parents coming from average or middle-class families. An act of premeditated disconnection. Now, as I went on to raise myself at my grandmother's house, surrounded by an environment of indifference, scarcity, drug abuse, alcoholism, I took a sharp turn in my destiny when my mind, suffering from trauma and abuse, had somehow split itself into two different people. The young, innocent, foreboding child stayed beneath the surface, while in the face of every experience, what was left of me to face the world developed an unshakable paradigm of self-love. A paradigm that was born from a place of fear, a total lack of faith and trust in others, a fortress of self-defense and self-sabotage. I became my own prisoner. In spite of all that, I ticked the boxes of artificial success. Traveled the world, bought a house, held a corporate career, kept score of friends who did the same stuff. On the outside, I looked happy. But on the inside, I was crippled with fear. Fear to love. Fear to trust. Fear of being abandoned all over again. Did you know that research shows us that 70% of the human population suffers from imposter syndrome, which really suggests that we are outwardly successful, but we are inwardly terrified. Isn't it stunning how we are all so cool, calm, and collected, yet we are really lost, vulnerable, and afraid? One day, I was in a hospital for a shoulder surgery, about to go in for a general anesthesia, and I was scared. Anyone been scared of general anesthesia? So I pleaded with the doctor. I said, "Please, take care of me. I want to be here for my children." He gave me a funny look and said, "No worries, Grace. We'll get you out of here in no time." And I remember squeezing his hand as tears fell down my face as he put me to sleep. But then hours passed, and I found myself in and out of consciousness. I could hear frantic voices around me. The images were fuzzy. And then it was total darkness. And finally, when I opened my eyes, I coughed and I choked, blood sputtering out of my throat. It was a mess. I was that close to not making it back due to overdose, because the doctor decided to give me just a little bit more, because I was so highly strung and upset right before surgery. The next day, my kids came to see me, and my son, when he saw the sling on my right shoulder, got really excited. "Mommy, got a new shoulder. Let's go play monkey bars outside. I promise I will let you in." I've never been more grateful to come back alive. And having survived that near-death experience, I began to look for the answers from within and took a good look at myself. I became so obsessed on transcending fear and anger built for decades in my DNA. I removed people, places, and experiences that did not serve a deep and meaningful life, as I realized I am the creator of my own destiny, no matter what. And today, I'd love for you to contemplate and reflect with me the 3 sacred questions to gaining and developing a fearless paradigm of self-love. As a parent, as a partner, as a business owner, as a community, what are your beliefs? Are you willing to embrace unprecedented way of thinking so you can make unprecedented results? Your decisions. When was the last time you have made bold, organic, quantum leap decisions that could ignite a change in the landscape of your legacy and your evolving purpose? Are you willing to show the highest expression of that? And are you ready to embrace a fearless paradigm of self-love? Now, in closing, if I could go back to the day when my son thought I was much too old for eating much too ice cream, I would say to him, "Look, yes, I am old, but I will never be old enough to know everything about you. Because when you were born, you were an infinite field of possibilities, and you will always, always be that way." Thank you.
Grace, thank you so much. Let's give Grace another.